Hello, Warren here again with the Peach State Prime Transformers channel. And today we're going to have a discussion on one of the greatest debates in Transformers history. And I believe I've reached a conclusion as far as, where I am in kind of my headcanon and an explanation that I just really like and really kind of accept as the fictional reasoning behind one of the biggest mysteries in the Transformers universe. And that is, why do we have characters like Arcee, like Elita-One, like Windblade, and even like Black Arachnia? Now, of course, what all four of these characters have in common is that they are considered to be female Transformers. Now, the controversy being, why are there female Transformers? Before we dive any further, I want to put two disclaimers at the very beginning of this video. Number one, I have not read every piece of fan fiction, every comic book, or watched every single series from start to finish. If any of my ideas that I express in this video seem to mirror or are somewhat similar, that's a happy coincidence, and great minds think alike. So I'm not copying anybody. I'm just kind of reaching my own conclusions here. Number two, this is not a discussion on genders and attraction and all that kind of stuff. This is about a fictional universe about transforming robots. So we're not going there having that discussion, no matter how you may feel about it. And that's not where I want to go with this discussion either. So we're gonna just stick to why there are female Transformers. So, of course, there's an in-universe reason why I think there's a fictional reason why there are female Transformers. And then, of course, the real-world reason. Let's go into the real-world reason first. Why did Hasbro decide, when they were designing or starting to develop Transformers the movie, to include Arcee? Now, Arcee was the very first female Transformer developed. Elita-One was the first to appear in fiction, canonically, and in the timeline. But Arcee was designed first. So, of course, we had the whole female Transformers episodes in Season 2 of Generation 1. So, why would Hasbro want to have that? It's very simple. To expand their sales. While the original G1 Arcee toy was never released up until it became part of the Missing Link line from Takara Tomy. But really, it was just to try to bring in female fans to the franchise. To expand their horizons. It's just like, any franchise that it tries to be a little bit more inclusive. It's to make people have a way to identify with that property. So that's very much at least if I was in the room back then, why they would have done it, they're very simple. Plus their goals for Transformers the movie, even in getting it the PG rating by including their two infamous swear words, including a female character only seemed natural, and of course that expanded backwards into Season 2, and then forwards into Season 3, and in pretty much every media we've had since then. From Beast Wars forward, we've seen some sort of female representation. So that's the kind of the real world reason. Now, to get to the fictional reason, I mean, there's been all sorts of again, theories out there. Some have been explored in comics. I know IDW, I haven't read the whole series, more the earlier issues, but I know they went down a whole rabbit hole with that. There's some books out there I know that may touch upon that, and of course, all sorts of fan theories. And that's all this is today, is my fan theory. But I think it's a good one. If I didn't think it was a good one, I wouldn't make a video on it. So, we have to go back to the origin of the Transformers. And it's kind of a mismatch, or mishmash. There we go. In the original G1 animated series, it was pretty much left that in Five Faces of Darkness, that the Quintessons, and some of the subsequent episodes, that the Quintessons built the Transformers as kind of their slave race, their workforce. And it's just kind of left at that. The Quintessons built them, the Transformers rebelled, and the rest is history. In the G1 comic, we went a little bit further, and I'm talking about the one developed from Marvel back in the 80s into the 90s. In there, we have a little bit more developed backstory for the origin of the Transformers. So, basically, there's these two cosmic beings, and you all know them. You had Primus, who was Lord of the Light Gods, and then you had Unicron, who was the last of the Dark Gods. And basically, there were these two, kind of cosmic beings doing battle. They are both the last of their kind, and they were just locked into an epic struggle. And what ended up happening was Primus tricked Unicron into basically flying into a metallic asteroid, and at his own, by sacrificing himself by doing the same. Unicron, of course, would morph this metallic asteroid into his giant planet self that we all know and love. Primus would do the same, ultimately becoming Cybertron. And while he could transform, he never really did so. Instead of using the power to transform himself into a robot mode like Unicron, he used that power in his benevolence to create the race of Transformers. As time would go on, and the rest is history. Unicron would create a few heralds here and there, but not a whole race like Primus did. As time would go on, fans and media would actually kind of combine these two origins, where Primus is Cybertron. That whole story with Primus and Unicron holds true, and then it was viewed that, either the Quintessons were a separate race that arrived to Cybertron and conquered the Cybertronians / Transformers, and then, of course, there's a rebellion, and the rest is history, or that they were also, the Quintessons were also a separate race on Cybertron, potentially created by Primus or Quintus Prime, I believe, who's one of the 13, and again, they just overthrew the rest. So, and the whole, claim that the Quintessons created the Transformers was a lie that they spread to help enslave the Transformers. So, whatever your take is, it's different, here and there. Transformers 1 kind of expands on that a little bit. But, so that's the origin. Now, where this plays into our discussion today is, again, we had two celestial or cosmic beings, Unicron and Primus. And, again, they were kind of the last of their kind, which insinuates that there were more light gods and dark gods. And what my belief is that these cosmic beings did in fact biologically reproduce. Unlike Transformers, because the way Transformers are created, they're built, manufactured, and of course their spark, or kind of the digital soul, is produced by the well of all sparks. At least that's the general understanding between combining bits and pieces of media. But anyways, going back, so my belief is that with the light gods and dark gods, there were in fact female and male, for the reasons of continuing the line. So kind of what my thoughts are is that, with Primus and Unicron kind of having, this age-old, battle and dislike for each other, is there was likely someone that Primus, that was a female light god, whether it was his mate, wife, close friend, what have you, and Unicron murdered them, throughout their battles. And when Primus created his race of Transformers as a way of honoring his fallen friend and, again, potential mate, he made a small group or small population of female Transformers. And that would be, again, kind of his way to honor his fallen comrade and close friend. So that's kind of my theory. And the reason there's not so many is because he wanted to make them special and unique. Which is why in the G1 show, we only see a small band of female Transformers. And let's face it, looking throughout all media and toys, most of them are male. So that would explain that piece, why they exist and why they're so few. Now, the other piece is, why did we see in G1 that there was sometimes an attraction, as is in the case of Optimus Prime and Elita-One, between, the opposite, the male and female Transformers? And heck, Beast Wars, look at Silverbolt and Black Arachnia. So, my thought there is, again, Primus used his own energy to create the Transformers, basically himself. And, in doing so, he transferred some of himself into each Transformer, whether it's apparent or not. You have someone as conniving as Megatron versus somebody as heroic as Optimus Prime. But nonetheless, there's still a bit of Primus in them. And that part kind of makes them attracted, just like he was to, again, his fallen friend or mate. And, that causes them to, kind of be attracted to each other at times. The male and female Transformers. Not that it's necessarily a running thing, but there's been enough of it throughout the media to where it definitely has occurred. And, since there's really no need for the relationship to continue the race, it's just left at that. It's just kind of a leftover part of Primus's soul. So, anyways, so that's basically it in a nutshell. I think that Primus, again, it's a tribute that he created female Transformers to, part of his race that he was from. And that, the attraction is there simply because of Primus being Primus. And so, we're going to leave it there. I know some of the comics go a little bit further here and there, but the age-old question, why are there female Transformers, and why, do some of them seem to date each other? You had Inferno and Firestar, again, Optimus, Elita-One, Springer and Arcee, seem to be more of a couple than, some people say Hot Rod and Arcee. And then, of course, like I said, Silverbolt and Black Arachnia, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of them out there, but that's just my fan theory. I think it's a pretty simple one, in my opinion, that it's just part of who Primus was, and again, him creating this race of Transformers, both to pay the battle against Unicron should he return, and to pay tribute to his fallen race of light gods. So, just a fun fan theory. Will any theory really ever truly appease everybody? No, it's never going to happen. Ultimately, it's just great having both, some female Transformers out there. And, it's what, helps make Transformers unique with the unique personalities and characteristics out there. So, it's a fun franchise. One of the reasons why I love it. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like here on YouTube. And, of course, share your comments. What are your theories on female Transformers? And what do you think of my theory? Like it, dislike it, be respectful. But share your thoughts. This is a topic that, kind of always intrigued me. Not that it keeps me up at night, but like I said, just, a nice, kind of small in-universe reason why. And, again, I think mine kind of addresses that. But anyways, also subscribe here for more discussions like this, toy reviews, news, other fun stuff regarding Transformers. And if you're looking for other fun videos, feel free to check out my original channel, Peach State Prime. And, of course, there you have all sorts of fun content, amusement parks, other attractions, travel videos, fun places to eat and shop, just, fun stuff, that, if you have some time to kill and need something fun to watch, check it out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you have a great day, and God bless.